Hi, everyone. It's so great to be here with all of you. Thank you so much for joining today and spending some time with me. It feels like we're having a one-on-one right now. We're just here together, so I'm so excited to be here. My name is Erica Hanson. I work at Google. I'm a program manager on the developer relations team. And I'm going to be talking to you about my career journey and what I've learned. And first of all, just want to say thank you to all of the DSE leads who organized this event, and thank you so much for inviting me. I know we have a number of different universities here, including AIET and many more. So thank you, Toka, and everybody else who invited me to be part of this. So thanks for that. So I'm going to get started and share my career journey, and there are 3 lessons that I do want to share with all of you as well. But first, I'll share a little bit about me. So I lead the Developer Student Clubs program, and this was actually a picture from when I met with a number of DSE leads and their core team members in Egypt earlier this year in February, which was a really great experience to meet everyone. And basically, as all of you probably already know, it is a community program for university students where you can learn through workshops and events and learn about different Google technologies, and then work on projects that solve local problems in your community through the Solution Challenge, which will be launching again in January. So really excited to see those projects. And so I am the program manager of this program. I have been globally for the last 2.5 years. And now I'll talk about how I got to that role, the role that I'm in now. So I'm originally from California and Los Angeles. I went to Stanford University, and I studied psychology and communication. So I come from a non-tech background. I did take one computer science class, and that piqued my interest. I learned JavaScript and HTML and built a simple website. And so I was interested in the tech industry. I went to a job fair at my university and handed in my resume to a few different companies and got a call back from Google. And the first role was essentially customer service. And I was answering the phones there. If people had any questions about their advertising accounts with Google or in general about the internet, I was answering those questions for about 9 months. Eventually, I worked with clients on their marketing strategies. I was supporting small to medium-sized businesses and agencies, which I enjoyed. So that was about 4 years in California, Mountain View, and San Francisco. And that was 14 years ago. So I have been at Google for over 14 years. It seems like it's been quite a while, but I've enjoyed it and had different pivots and milestones along the way. So then we can fly on a plane, and you'll see this picture here in London on the left. So I wanted to get into project management. So before I was doing basically sales and client engagement, and I was interested. I did a bunch of side projects that were related to project management. And I realized, okay, I like project management. So I joined sales operations in London, and I thought maybe I might be interested in trying out something different. And so I did a 20% project with Campus London. Campus was a tech hub for startups that Google supported. And so I managed the mentoring program, matching Google mentors with startups. And I essentially managed that program as a 20% project for a few months. And I really enjoyed that. I realized, okay, I really like mentoring. I like project management kind of work. The startup space seems interesting. So it was a good experience, some of these 20% projects, because I realized, all right, I can build up some skills and see if I'm interested in this long term. And I was proactive. I looked for other opportunities, and one of them was a rotation program that was in Singapore, and it was managing a program called Women on the Web. And this was a program to help women learn how to start businesses online using various Google products like YouTube and other types of things. And we did like trainings for them. And so that was really interesting to me. I got to go to Pakistan and also went to Malaysia and really enjoyed that experience of working on projects still, project management, but focused on something I was more interested in and more impactful. So then I applied for a full-time job there and basically in Singapore, and I got the role, and essentially I became a program manager, part of developer relations. And so our team is really focused on helping developers be more successful. There's a number of trainings and events to support people. And also a lot of what we do is through community. And so that's where I first got interested in communities, and I ran a couple, like an Android training program, and worked with a number of different communities and community leaders as they ran workshops. And so I was inspired by community, so I started a community there, co-founded Geek Girl Meetup Singapore. It was a community for women in tech. I did that for 3 years and really enjoyed that experience. And I realized the power of communities through that. It was great to meet people that really it could inspire each other, mentor each other, and learn together. And lastly, I moved to New York. I wanted to live in a different place and try out a bit of a different role. So in Singapore, I was more focused on Indonesia and specific countries. And then in New York, my role became a bit more global. And I took on managing the Developer Student Clubs program globally, which I'm working on now in New York, and I've been here for about 2.5 years. So thanks for joining me on this plane ride across the different stages and different areas of Google that I've worked in. And so that's my path, but I do want to dive a bit deeper into what a program manager is, because it's not totally clear at times, and I wasn't totally sure. And so this is essentially what it is and what my day looks like. And so as a program manager, basically I need to set the goals and the vision of the program, and that is developer student clubs. A lot of what I do is, so there's like vision settings, there's some creativity and kind of thinking through that. How do we make an impact and support people? And part of that is planning. And so that's why I have the calendar there and a project tracker. And really it's keeping track of all the different things. It's managing and setting the budgets, the vision, getting together a team of people that can help execute on the plans. And so that's the team there. Basically, these are my teammates across the world, and they are also working on the Developer Student Clubs program in all of these regions. And so we are a team of peers. We work together. It's all about teamwork and a lot of leadership. And we get together and discuss, hey, what's going well? What can we improve? And so we're always looking for feedback and trying to improve the program. And so that's just kind of a high-level summary of what I do as a program manager. It's really end-to-end managing a program, and that program in this case is Developer Student Clubs, from setting the goals, the vision, the timeline, and setting the schedule, getting organized, checking off when things are done, and then having a team and building that culture of teamwork so that we can all support each other, because really it's everything we do is about teamwork. I'll talk a bit about some of the steps I follow as well. So a lot of the first question is just why? Why are we doing this? What is the core thing that we're trying to solve for? So that's something that I always do. It's like, why are we doing something? Should we be doing this? Should we be doing it in this way? And so the beginning phases of any specific project within this program, and there's a number of different types of projects within the overall program. One project might be the solution challenge, which we're working on now and will be launching in January. And so the key stage is really just starting and setting the goals and what is the scope of this, and just setting up the budget and the core team and all of that and getting started. And then there's the planning phase, and it's really just kind of getting everything prepared. What are all the steps needed? Making sure everyone has a clear role and responsibility. And then there's the execution phase. It's like, all right, we know our roles, we know what we're doing. Let's execute and make sure everything goes well. And then there's the closing, and that's really just seeing how it went, getting feedback from everybody that was involved. What went well, what to improve. Is there anything to celebrate? Are there any stories of impact that are very inspiring and might inspire people to be a part of it next year? So it's always important to thank people as well in the closing, and it's really, there's not one single person, it's a team always. And so it's so important to thank people as well. And so those are the stages that I follow as a program manager. And, I did not know I wanted to be a program manager at all, ever. That was never a role I even thought existed. And so I kind of figured it out and learned about it along the way. And so now I want to share some tips and ways that I figured out what do I like to do and what kind of helped me get to this path. So I'm going to shift gears now and talk about the steps and things that I've learned and that helped me. So basically the three things I've learned over the last 14 years at Google has been to really focus on strengths, the power of communities, and that reflection is key. And so now I'll talk through what I mean by those three. So the first thing is I've learned that it's really important to focus on strengths and understanding what I'm good at. I am not a technical person. I am in the engineering org at Google. I don't need to code for my job, but I am a program manager, and it's important to understand the technical aspect of things and what are some different Google products and platforms out there. It's good to have the understanding, but and I do work with developers all the time, and there's many technical people on my team. And so how do I add value? And one way is by focusing on my strengths. What am I good at? And so here's some ways that I figured out strengths. It takes just a bit of reflection, really, and trying to figure out, what do you like doing? What do other people comment? Oh, you did this well, and that's kind of unique. And so it's kind of watching out for those comments. But really what I learned is that the answer is right at your feet. It's really there. And it does take just some reflection. You're already good at some things, and I guarantee that. And so it's good just to reflect on what are those things that I'm good at? What do I like doing? And so there's different ways to do that. There is a test called the Strengths Finder. So this is something that I did. And, there's just like innate talent and things that you're good at, but then there also is the piece of investment of time and your effort into something and improving that area. And that leads to a strength and something you're good at. So I did the Strengths Finder. I did it years ago. And here's just some things that it said that some of my strengths were through the Strengths Finder. And I took it 6 years ago and then recently, and they're pretty similar. But some of the things I realized were, positive. I definitely tend to look at things with a positive lens. There can be, pros and cons to that. But for me, I like to look at the positive of things. And so also activating, I like to start things. And so that's knowing some of these things. I realize, okay, yes, actually, I do like to activate and start new things. I like to pilot things. I like to grow things. But really, my passion and interest is the starting piece. And so I'm like, okay, what are the things I can work on? How do I continue to activate? But also part of my role is not just activating. I need to kind of maintain and make sure things work out well long term. So, but how can I still make sure that there's some of that activation in there and that kind of startup mode? And so it's just an exercise to think about and reflect on some of the things that some of your strengths. There is the Strengths Finder test. You could Google it, or really without that, it's fine just sitting down and reflecting. Like, what do you think some of your strengths are? What are you good at? What do you like doing? What do people comment that you're good at? And so it's just a good reflection. I also thought through what are some of my values and realized it was growth, community, health, and creativity, and just started mapping that out. What are some examples of that? I've realized that community is so important. I'm a part of a number of communities. I lead some of them. I'm a member of some. I'm an active member of a lot of them, but some I just want to be a member and listen and enjoy. Some I want to be very active and lead. But it's a mix, and I have different communities based on my interests and things that I'm passionate about. And so community is so important. And of course, growth for me is important. Learning, teaching, reading, mentoring. I like to mentor other people, but I also like being mentored. And I have a mentor at Google who has really supported me. And she's someone that I share challenges that I'm facing, or I get advice from her. And I find that very helpful. But I also learn a lot when I'm a mentor to other people. I mentor 2 engineers right now at Google, and I learn from them just by sharing some tips, advice, but also they share advice with me. And so I find it's a good, it's basically two-way. I think there's value on both sides. So I reflected on values, and through different, through going through that process and also thinking about what am I interested in, what am I passionate about? And, I am in this, technical field. So what am I interested in? I'm not an Android developer, for example, but for me, I realized I do love program management, project management. I love hearing stories. I love impact. I love learning. I love education. I'm very much interested in supporting students. So I took some time to think about what are the things I like doing. And so I started a program in Indonesia years ago called Indonesia Android Kejar. It was combining online learning, people learning through Udacity, and also in-person facilitator-led workshops and projects. And I loved working on this. It was really fun because it combined a lot of my interests and my strengths. And so even though I'm not technical and I'm not an Android developer, I still was able to show my value and through my strengths. And so it was really cool to see, students learning. Also, I'm very much into getting feedback and making improvements to existing things. And one thing we ended up testing out was having some study groups for women, if women would prefer that, and many did. And so we had some of these women-led workshops as well that were really we got good feedback on that. And so that was cool. And something that I realized that I enjoyed as well is getting feedback, making improvements to an existing process. And that's all part of what you do as a program manager. But I also wanted to go through the process myself and push myself. And so I completed the Udacity Android for Beginners course. And then I became a facilitator, a co-facilitator. I had someone much more experienced than me helping co-lead, but I was there to mentor and support people. And that was one way I challenged myself. And I realized, okay, cool. It was fun to build a very simple Android app, but I'm learning. And I wanted to also go through the process as, on the other side of someone going through the program so that I could provide more meaningful feedback to the program. And I was able to make some improvements from that. And so those are, that's really the first tip is focusing on the strengths. And all of you have strengths. Every single one of you has strengths. I promise that. And so it's just a good exercise to think about what are those strengths. And you can think about your values, what are things that you care about, and just do some reflection and really just double down on those strengths. And you kind of can figure out your own path from there. Some career opportunities might come up. And, I've definitely been proactive and gotten support along the way through mentors and some networking, but really guiding me along that way was just really doubling down on my strengths. And so now let's get to number 2, and that is the power of community. And so this was the first community event I went to. This was it was a Google Business Groups event in Malaysia years ago, and I was never part of any kind of a tech community ever. The communities I was a part of were sports teams, and I consider those strong communities, but never anything that was related to tech or business. And so I really enjoyed going to this event and meeting other people who were interested in technology and the business side of things, where they could learn from each other and also share ideas and mentor each other, start new things together. I know I've definitely heard of people meeting at events where they kick off a startup together. And so actually I started going to community events, and that is where I met one woman who mentioned to me she wanted to start a community for women in tech. And I said, I want to as well. And this was in Singapore. And we realized we had a lot of similar interests. And so we said, hey, let's do this. And so we co-founded Geek Girl Meetup Singapore. And I met her at a community event. And so that's really the power of community. And so it's amazing that all of you are part of these communities already. And whether that's in person or it has to be online, that's fine. You can still connect with each other, work on projects together, learn new things together, mentor and support each other. And I really encourage you to be active members of your communities. And there's different ways to be active. One is to, ask questions. One is to volunteer and help organize the event. Another could be being a speaker eventually, being a mentor, eventually joining the core team or the organizing team, or being the leader of the community. There's a lot of different stages, or inviting other people to join. There's lots of ways to be an active participant, and I definitely encourage you to do that, because for me, community has been so important. It's where I've met some very inspiring people, fun people. It's where I've met friends. And I think it's so cool that people can come together and build things together. And so I have different communities. This is the one I mentioned. This was the two women I started Geek Girl Meetup with in Singapore, and we ran different workshops and events, which was really fun. But really, that interest in community even lends to my personal life as well. So I'm a part of different communities in New York. For me, I wanted people who cared about health and fitness and were positive, nice, encouraging people. And so I joined a marathon community, a runners group, and we raise money for cancer. And so I really, it was team determination with a National Cancer Society in the US. And I loved being a part of this group. We had a shared vision. We wanted to train and finish the marathon. We wanted to have a community of good, nice people who were encouraging and supporting each other and achieving our goal of completing the marathon. And we did. And so for me, that's what community is about. No matter what the group is or the specific goal, that's community is there to support each other, be positive, encourage each other to continue learning and achieving any goals we set. And these are a couple of the other communities that I'm a part of. Also, the Women at Google community, I co-lead the career development pillar. So that's really all about the power of communities, and something I learned along the way. I'd say as you start your career, or even as you continue your career, if your career already started, it's always good to find communities. It could be for fun. It could be to learn something new. But I think it helps to have a group of positive people around you who encourage you, bring out the best in you, who inspire you, a group where you can find mentors that are friends. I definitely consider many of my friends to be friendtors. We support and mentor each other. And so that can help you throughout your career. Maybe you can find jobs through each other. And so that's really the power of communities, and a big tip that I've learned over the last 14 years. Tip number 3, and this is the last tip: reflection is key. It's always good to take a step back, not only to reflect on your strengths, but it's also in general just checking in. How are you doing? What do you enjoy doing? What are some challenges is this a good time to get a mentor? So that reflection is key. As part of I did a career development course at Google, and one of the activities was to think about my ideal day. And that's something I recommend for all of you. And it really helped me. It's not like, it doesn't seem to be super focused on career, but it actually, taking a step back, I had to reflect on, what is my ideal day look like? This is New York. And I just really realized, it's, I kind of walked through what my journey of the day would be. Would I be doing some of the same things I'm already doing? And so as part of that reflection, the first thing, by the way, is taking a walk outside and grabbing a coffee. And so that's, and actually I did that today. So I grabbed my coffee and took a walk. And so that's how I want to always start my day, going outside. But then I went through my work day. What do I want it to look like? What do I enjoy doing the most within my day? Is there a way I could do more of that or less of the things that I don't particularly love? So I think that reflection is good for everybody. Another thing I do, I should and would like to do it more, to be honest, but I do some meditation. You don't need an app for it. You could just be still, close your eyes and breathe, and just focus on your breath and listen to the sounds around you as well. And then focus on breath. And there's different ways to meditate, and you could just Google different ways that work. I happen to use the Headspace app. But I find that those moments of stillness and focusing on my body and my breath also give me some space and give me some time to kind of take a step back from what kind of seems like a never-ending cycle of work and things that need to get done. This allows some space, which I think helps with creativity as well. And then journaling, it doesn't just have to be about personal stuff. It could also be work-related, just writing out, how am I feeling? What do I enjoy doing? What are some goals that I have? Why do I want to achieve those? What do I want to be known for? What should I focus on? Are there new skills I want to learn? So that, just writing it out, I find, versus typing it. I know I work for a tech company, but I think physically writing, having a pen and paper, can be really helpful. And then for me as well, this is a slide from a course, a career development course as well, is just thinking about the vision. And after you've done some of this reflection, thought about strengths and values, just setting a goal for the year. Every year I set a personal goal, but also a work goal is important as well. And thinking whether you have started your career or not, just thinking about just setting a vision for yourself. Where do you see yourself in 1 year? And then thinking backwards, how do I achieve that? Are there certain steps? And not listing out so many steps, but just like one or two things to kind of start, and breaking it up into steps, so it doesn't seem like this big daunting thing, is really helpful. And so that's number 3, not number 5. Really, that reflection is key, and that's really helped me throughout my journey of my career, and can really help you it helped me take a step back and just really reflect on, do I like what I'm doing? Do I want to move to a new place? Do I want to move into a different org? Maybe I should work on some side projects. Just that reflection can really help, and that's helped me for sure. So those are the 3 things that I've learned: focusing on strengths, the power of communities, and that reflection is key. So thank you so much for listening. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can find me at Twitter, Erica K. Hanson, or feel free to add me on LinkedIn. Also on Instagram. I haven't been posting on there very much lately, but those are 3 different ways. I'd love to stay connected to all of you. I really appreciate you taking the time to join this session and listen. And thanks so much. I'm open to taking any questions that you have. And I can look at the chat as well to see. Thanks so much for asking questions and adding comments as well. Thanks so much. So did I have any did I have some blocks in my way of helping others, and how did you face it? Yeah, thanks for asking. Let me think about that. Some blocks in my way of helping others. Yeah, I've definitely had challenges along the way. In terms of helping others, I've, yeah, for me, I've really, I think, I always do want to help other people as well. I think in helping others, it's good to know, um, what are their goals? What are they trying to achieve? Is there a way that I can support them in reaching those goals? Or maybe it's not me that is the best person in that, in the best position to help them achieve those goals. So I can refer them to somebody else. But I'd say in terms of helping people, there's definitely been a bandwidth issue at times. I have so many projects that I'm working on, and I get a lot of emails and have a number of meetings. So sometimes I can't help as many people or improve certain things I'm working on enough, and I would like to do more. But it's a certain point I need to kind of look at my day and just prioritize. It's really all about prioritization and being realistic with what I can do, because I can't help. I can't do everything that I want to do and make as big of an impact as I might want to, and that's okay. At some point, I need to take a step back and realize, all right, I need to prioritize. I have a limited amount of time. Also, it's really important for me to have social time as well, and time outside of work where I can really detach and spend time by myself, reading or going for a run. I would like to do more of that, or seeing, friends and family. And so it's good to really just prioritize and not try to do too much at the same time. But yeah, thank you for asking about that. Yeah, thanks for asking if I face any cases of sexism during my career. If so, how did you deal with that? Yeah, that's a great question. I nothing directly that I can recall. Um, that's a great question. I think so. I've been my different roles have been in sales. Then I was a project manager in sales operations. And then now I'm a program manager in developer relations. And so there hasn't been any direct experience that I've had, but along the way, it's what's really helped me and to encourage me to be more confident, for example, and maybe going up for a promotion I wasn't sure I should go up for, is having a community of women and men who support me and who I can check in with when I do have challenges along the way. And a couple of those networks have been, teammates I go to as, thought partners and people I can bounce ideas off of. I'm part of I find that in the Women at Google community, I'm part of the leadership team that organizes events and community events to get people together. But I do enjoy having that community of people we can share ideas and also encourage each other. And we run a number of trainings. Today we're running a resilience training, and I think resilience is something that I definitely want to improve. For me, I haven't directly experienced it, but I think what has helped me along the way, no matter what, is having a strong community of people who support me. Mentors. This one mentor I mentioned earlier, she has been amazing, and someone who's encouraged me when I wasn't sure. For example, should I go up for promotion? I don't know, and kind of second guessing certain things, in her saying, okay, let's just objectively look at what you've done. And I wrote it out, and she supported, encouraged me. And so having mentors, friendtors, a network of people that I could turn to when I wasn't so sure about something, people who can support me, encourage me in a positive way, that's something that has helped me throughout my entire career. Did Google change something in yourself? I would say, yeah, I have been at Google it's been 14 years, so it's quite a while. I would say that I have changed and improved in a lot of ways. I'd say one thing I've really learned to improve is two areas: leadership and teamwork. I actually, in college, I only worked on one project in college, and I wish I had worked on more, because everything I do is in project teams at Google. Every single thing we do is it's projects. So I wish I had done more projects earlier and in college as well to prepare me for that. But I learned how to be a team player over time, and the importance of setting out the roles. What are the roles of everyone on the team? How often should we meet? Having a shared vision, making sure to thank them after the project is over. Great job. Thank you for this. Reflection. What could we have improved? What went well? And so those are all things about being part of a team that I've learned along the way. And I'd say I definitely have improved my ability to collaborate with others and be on a team. And then also leadership as well is something, just taking the lead on projects, making sure, having it kind of fall on my shoulders that it's, whether it's successful or not, I need to be accountable to that. And getting people behind it, setting up the team around it, and making sure people are bought into that plan and kind of follow along with the vision and that path. And so I've definitely improved my leadership skills along the way. So I'd say those are two key things. Also, the people I've met, I'd say I've met a lot of great creative people, smart people that I've become good friends with. Some of my closest friends now I met 13 years ago at Google and are still my closest friends today. And so for me, like the friendships and the relationships I built, it's really all about the people. And so those are a few of the things. And the last thing actually that has changed something is I'm grateful that I was able to travel. For me, I wanted to live and work in different countries. I didn't know that at the beginning, but as I figured that out along the way, and so I was able to move to London from the US. And then I was able to move to Singapore and then eventually New York, which is totally different from California, where I'm from. So I think I've learned a lot by living and working in different countries, learning about working with different people from different countries. Diversity is so important. People having diverse opinions, living and being from different countries, they have different experiences that are valuable in working on teams. And so I've learned a lot from experiences of living and working in different countries. And all of that is because of Google. I've been able to apply to different roles and move. And a lot of that also was because I was proactive along the way. I basically said, hey, I set a goal and just basically was committed to working on that goal of, okay, I want to move to New York. Let me see if there's an opportunity. And I was able to basically build this opportunity for myself to work on this program globally and move to New York. And so it's not everything always works out, but in this case it did. It was just a matter of, for me, it was setting a goal, being committed to it, and that reflection time, and eventually just going for it and moving. So I know not everyone can or wants to move and live in different countries, but for me, I have learned a lot from the experience. So thank you so much. Hi, Aya. It's good to see you on here. Let me see. Are there any, I have a question from Noreen. Are there any programs for non-technical students? And that's a good question. With developer student clubs, it depends on the community, but I know that there are sometimes events for that are non-tech related and maybe more of different skills that you can work on that are non-technical. and there might be some events that are non-technical within that community. But in terms of programs for non-technical, there are, I know there's different ones through Grow with Google. I'm not as familiar in where all of you are based, so I'm not totally sure. And in case someone else knows like some other opportunities there specifically, it can vary by country and region. I'd say, yeah, there is Grow with Google. And there's also, I'd say one thing that I would encourage is also self-learning and just kind of Googling a different kind of courses. There's some free platforms out there, and learning, building some skills on your own through these platforms. And I know there's, Coursera, there's Khan Academy, there's different types of platforms out there if you want to build up any of your skills, whether they're technical or non-technical. Also, YouTube, I've been looking through YouTube for some, well, this is yoga, but I was looking for some yoga classes. And so I do a lot of kind of Googling around to see if there's certain online courses or videos that I can learn from. I'm always on the lookout for that. And what are the personal, what is an achievement you are most proud of during your career? Thank you, Yara. So what I'm most proud of, I would say, actually what I'm working on right now, developer student, there's two things. One is that I've been able to work and live in different countries. That's been really fun and enriching for me. I've made lifelong friendships with people and built up experiences of just being, in a different country than I am originally from, or a different place completely. And so being able to, I'd say I'm most proud of just having pushed myself to go outside of my comfort zone. I didn't have any friends or know people in the 2 times I moved countries, but I just kind of made friends and tried to find interest groups. I joined this running group. I had some friends in New York, but I joined a running group to find more friends and meet more people. So for me, it was moving to London, Singapore, and then New York. And it was outside of my comfort zone, but I just did it, and I'm grateful for it. And the second thing is the Developer Student Clubs program I'm working on. The program started in India. I brought it to Indonesia and launched it there. And then now I lead it globally, and it's expanded. And now it went from one country in India to over 100 countries all over the world. And there's 1,259 clubs on university campuses around the world. And so I was really happy to see the program expand. I was really inspired by all the stories. There's so many inspiring stories of, people leading the communities, people learning something new, building something for the first time. Those stories the stories of impact are what gets me most excited. And so I'd say that's the other thing I'm most proud of is building up that program and taking it from one country to many countries. And what are the personal skills that helped you a lot in your career? So I'd say the biggest skill would be, I'd say, collaboration and being able to work with other people. I love working with other people as well. And people can be difficult at times. It's natural, I don't love every person I work with, some can be more difficult than others, but what I love consistently is that act of collaboration and working in teams, working with people, because working by myself, it's, I'm kind of just by myself and planning things out. And I think it helps to have a team of people that you can collaborate, you can ask questions, you can maybe do some whiteboarding and come up with ideas together. And I get excited by being able to bounce ideas off of each other. And I'd say that's something I'm good at. is collaboration. And so I'd say that is my biggest strength. Any project I've worked on, whether it's in engineering in the technical space, or if it is or in the business world, at any point, collaboration, working with people everyone has to do that. I had to do that all the time. But it did help that I like working with people, that people generally, I think, like working with me as well. And we were able to achieve our goals and have a bit of fun as well. We try to bring a bit of humor in it as well. And it's important to thank people along the way. So I'd say that would be my number one skill. And did you regret a job you work at and think it wasted time, or do you get the needed skills from it? Yeah, that's a good question. So actually, my only job has been at Google. I've had different roles. Before that, I had summer internships and jobs. One of them was selling advertising space in a phone book. I did that for one summer. I worked at a law firm for a summer. I worked at a PR agency for a summer. I would say that I'm grateful for all of those internships and roles, because those were my first jobs. And the cool thing about internships is you're able to just do it for a period of time and learn. I was able to learn some new skills and just get a sense of what is the working world like? What is it like to work in an office? And I was able to just get an understanding of those areas. PR, do I like PR? Would I maybe want to do that full time? Public relations, law offices. Okay, this is interesting. Is there any part of this that I like? Do I want to be a lawyer? No. Is there something within this that I like? I'm not so sure. So it was a good just test. And I think I didn't waste time, because I was able to build skills and just have a clear understanding that, no, I don't want to do this full time. And that's something. I learned something from that. Within Google, I don't regret any roles. I think I got to a point after 3 to 4 years each time where I got to a point where I felt like I was sort of plateauing in a way, and like, okay, do I love the projects I'm working on? Am I passionate about them? It's okay to not always be passionate about it, but do I feel like I'm putting my skills and time into the best use? And just questioning that and thinking, it really was every 3 to 4 years where there was that moment of questioning things. And that's when I moved countries, and that's when I moved organizations. And I don't think you have to move countries or orgs to make a change. I think it can be, within the same country, but potentially a different type of role. And even I've been on the same team for the last 7 years and 4 or 6.5 years. And I've been able to pivot along the way and take on new leadership projects, and been able to focus on new projects that I come up with. And it's one cool thing is that I can say, hey, here's a new project, here's the goals, and write a proposal and get feedback from people. And maybe I'll be able to launch this new thing, or maybe not, and might have to improve it, or maybe we'll have to do something different. But I think just having different types of projects I can work on, and a lot of time that requires me to be proactive. But I'd say that each step of the way, I was able to learn new skills. So I don't have any regrets along the way, because I learned something new. I met new people. I built some skills. And after a few years, when I was getting to a point where I'm like, I'm not getting enough out of this, or maybe I'm not that good at this, I've thought a couple times. Then I reflected. I tried out 20% projects. I had side projects. And then I thought, let me just see if I can let me test things out and see if I like them or if I'm good at them. And then was able to kind of carve my own path. So thank you for that. It's great to hear that DSC really changed your life, and so grateful for the chance. Thank you. And what advice do you want to give to women to trust themselves? That's a great question. And I have to admit, I don't always trust in myself, to be honest. And there's different times where I struggle with decisions and I'm like, what should I do? And I think for me, it's taking a step back and really trying to trust my own instincts, because I've realized my instincts are often right. If something feels a bit off or I'm not totally bought into something, usually that'll just keep growing. And I've realized, okay, my gut was telling me something for a reason. So I'd say taking time to listen to my gut, my instinct, what is my gut reaction to something, and really listening to it and understanding, okay, why is that my instinct, and what's the opportunity cost of not doing that, and what about this other, what are the other options out there? So I think trusting in myself I've realized to do that. I've realized over time, how to get better at that, and building up my own resilience when, there's going to be setbacks. I've had challenges. There were times when I wasn't performing as well and I didn't believe in myself, and just building up resilience I think, helps me handle those situations, because they might happen at some point. But if I can, just really have a better understanding of who I am. Okay, what are my strengths? What do I like doing? What are my values? What do I want to be known for? If I have a good sense of me and all of that, I think it helps me trust my instincts more and trust in myself more. And so first, it all starts with me and the person, but I do find it helpful, in addition, to have a network of friends, people I feel comfortable talking to, people I can trust, and we can bounce ideas off of each other. And so I do have a few people that I set up meetings with them, friends. I'm like, hey, can we talk through this? What do you think about this? I'm not so sure. And just having people I feel comfortable sharing ideas, challenges, or I just want it to be a kind of a creative brainstorming session. That's definitely helped me along the way as well. It's good to have a network. I know we're running out of time. I'll answer this. What do you advise us in our career as young DSC leads? Yeah, so I'd say, I think it's great that you're involved, whether you are DSC leads leading the community or whether you're active members and participants. I think that's great. And that's already a great start to your career, whether it's started or not. I'd say being an active participant and member in communities is really good, because you're able to learn from each other and also build up your leadership skills. I'd say another way to build up leadership skills and to work in teams is to work on a project together. So I do encourage you to be part of the Solution Challenge, which will launch the second week of January, and basically where you can work on a project that solves a local problem. Or you can look at I know there's the UN 17 Sustainable Development Goals if you want some inspiration there. But the point is, working on a project just basically solidifies your skill building and solidifies what you've learned. And you have to work in a team to build a project. And so I think having projects on your resume is a good thing, because it shows teamwork, leadership, and something tangible that you've built together. And so I think projects can help. Being part of communities really helps as well. And because really, I think a key thing with any career you have, no matter what it is that, having the ability to collaborate and work well with people, having people want to work with you is so important. And having those people skills and really being a good team player, and realizing everything does take a team. I think those are that's incredibly important. So thank you so much for all the great questions. I know we're out of time, so I really appreciate all of you joining. I can ping in this chat as well some of the my LinkedIn and all of different ways that you can reach out to me. I'm definitely happy to stay connected to all of you, and yeah, really happy that all of you were able to join today. So thanks so much for listening to my career journey. And one last thing I just want to say is that I really didn't know that I wanted my job to be a program manager at Google for 14 years. I had no idea. I graduated, studied psychology and communications. I just wanted a job, to be honest. And but I was interested in tech, and and I liked Google and the values, but I didn't really know exactly what I wanted or what to expect or what role I wanted. And so I learned throughout the way. I didn't always succeed in everything. I tested things out. I took on projects, and I was proactive. I made friends. I networked. And over time, I was able to figure it out. And I started with time, with practice, building up resilience. I was able to get more confident in myself and my decisions. And so I would say, don't worry if you don't know what you want to do, because I definitely did not. And even you can see my career and country change. I was slowly getting closer to project management and eventually program management, and focusing in the developer space, which I've realized now is something I'm really passionate about. And communities, I had no idea I would be interested in tech communities, but over time I realized that by being an active member and a leader of them. So mostly just want to encourage you not to worry, and just to continue to be part of this awesome community. And I promise you will all figure it out along the way. But just, follow your instincts, and just carve out more space for focusing on your strengths and that reflection. So thank you so much for listening. It was great to be here with all of you. And thanks so much to the Developer Student Club communities who organized this. I really enjoyed being a part of this. It's great that there were so many of you involved in organizing this event and this event series. So thank you so much.